All right, let's get started. Welcome all. SIGCOMM in New York City in September. That's a change. Well, September is when all the world's important decision makers come to New York City. Also on the east side, there's the UN General Assembly, but we're talking about SIGCOMM. So welcome here. And fortunately, our first speaker is here now. We were worried for a moment, but she's here. We'll get started. So we'll start with some brief logistics, introduction, thanks. The TPC chairs will give some details on the program. Then the SIG chairs will come and speak about the SIG, and then I think the CARES committee would come. But let's start with the logistics. Henning, you want to?
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and glad you all made it despite thunderstorms, winds, flooding, and whatever else you encountered along the way. We're delighted to have you back for the second time in New York City. As for some of you may recall, we tried to do that 3 years ago, and something happened. And so it was a little less physical. So you get all the physicality today and the next few days. So welcome, everyone. Glad you're all here. So the most important question used to be, where's the restroom? Now the most important question is, where's the Wi-Fi? And fortunately, both are pretty easy. There's a sign for the first, and there's a sign now for the second. Namely, it's just for Columbia University. No, we do not require passwords. And if you have EduRoam, that may work as well. Columbia and New York City can be confusing. So if you need help, we have multiple ways to help you out, make sure you don't get lost. If you need anything, hopefully of a non-emergency variety, there are two kinds of people who can help you. There are the student volunteers, of which we have a lot of them helping us out this week. They have a blue little tag on them, and a few of us have a conference committee, so in case you don't remember who we are, look for the tag, and we will try to guide you to whatever you need to do and hopefully get you straight and away. We also have 2 Slack channels, so do please go to those channels, particularly the main one. So if there's a schedule change or whatever else logistically, that's going to be really the easiest way for us to reach you during the week. So go there. And if you have any discoveries or whatever else that you'd like to share, please do so too. You've probably all seen it, but if you're not wearing one of those, you probably haven't. The registration desk is just outside. The volunteers there should be able to help you with kind of your day-to-day logistics, how to find the subway, how to find restaurants, all of that good stuff. So do ask them about that. If you didn't get your bottle or your tote bag, they are the keeper of that stash as well. Hopefully, it's something you don't have to use. But just in case, if you're not from the United States or Canada, the emergency number in New York City and elsewhere is 911 in case medical or other emergency. If it's a campus-related thing, you can also call the campus security, and they can help you for whatever reason that you need for something that's maybe not quite a flashing blue lights type of thing. The obligatory thing, we are covering the whole conference on Zoom. You've gotten the link in an email, so if you're jet lagged, or hopefully none of you will encounter the situation, if you're feeling something come on that you might not want to share with your 300 closest friends, do watch online, and you can participate online. So that's an opportunity for you to be a good neighbor. Now, we think of New York City as kind of just brick and concrete and whatever, but the part of Manhattan that Columbia University is in actually within a walking distance, offers a large and diverse set of diversions. So if you want to kind of stretch your legs during the lunch break, or after the sessions, or after we're done here on Thursday, there are plenty of opportunities. So I've highlighted a few just to illustrate kind of a diversity. President and General Grant has the largest, apparently, tomb in the United States that is within less than 5-minute walk of here. If you're into Seinfeld, the restaurant that was set in or partially set in is down the street. If you're into jogging, biking, walking, or anything else, there is a linear park, as they call it, pretty much all along the Hudson side of Manhattan. So it's a nice time of year to stroll. It's nicely shaded, and you can walk, if you're ambitious, almost all the way down to Battery Park, and that is a bike path there. And if you're into architecture or other more traditional things, St. John the Divine as a church is there as well. And even though we think of Central Park as something that is maybe near Columbus Circle, 59th Street, it actually extends all the way up here. So it's about an 18-minute walk, Google says, to get you there. So if you want to explore Central Park, it's well within an early evening or lunchtime stroll as well. And indeed, if you're into that, New York City actually has, among at least US cities, it's not Amsterdam compared to last year, I'm sorry to say, but it does have reasonably bikeable lanes. In particular, there is a bike path that you can circumnavigate Manhattan with. And for short jaunts, those are not for your date, a whole day if you want to do that, you can rent bicycles almost at every corner around Columbia. We have so-called city bikes, which are typical bike share type things that you can use for quite a quick jaunt. And lots of people do that. There are usually bike lanes somewhere, or you can, like I said, go to Riverside Park. And we're actually going to use the fact that Manhattan is surrounded by water, and so we're going to do a cruise on Tuesday in that. The logistics, given the number of people we have, are going to be a little challenging. So we have buses organized, but unfortunately we can't fit enough buses on the central walkway on Columbia and 116th Street that traverses the campus. So there will be 5 buses for that. So please, if you are a student, take the subway. It's a good experience. You do plan that it takes about, walking-wise, about half an hour. So plan that in your logistics. Don't just assume because it's a subway, it's a 10-minute ride. You will literally miss the boat. So, but if you want to and don't want to take Uber, Lyft, or the subway, there will be buses there. They will depart at 6:30 sharp because we don't know who's taking it, so we won't wait for you. I'm sorry, it's 5:30 sharp. The boat will depart at 6:30. Almost got people late. So 5:30, the bus will leave. 6:30, the boat will board, and that. And we will return around 9 p.m. Since people are spread all over. You're on your own to arrange transportation back to your hotel. So group up for whatever rideshare you prefer. You can take the subway. In some cases, you might actually find that your hotel is within walking distance if you're in Midtown, or at least a somewhat extended walking distance in that. So we'll leave that up to your Google mapping skills. And there will be an outrageous opinions session on board as well, with dinner and drinks and all the usual stuff. Anything I forgot about the boat? No, good. If you are a student or a technical program committee member, tonight is a dinner at 6:30 right at the Low Library, which if you came in, if you've walked around campus, it's a cupola building in the center of campus, which is not a library anymore, hasn't been for, I don't know, a century or so. But it's a very nice space, and hopefully we'll have a very nice dinner. So student in that, The feedback is every student is above 21. I'll say it again, otherwise we'll get into deep trouble. If you happen to not have sign up, and if you're not 21, unfortunately, because of US alcohol regulations, we have to apologize that this dinner is not for you. And TPC members, if you can send your RSVP to Vishal so that we have some idea how many additional people show up, that would be helpful. On Wednesday evening, we will have the SIGCOMM community meeting where SIGCOMM, as the SIG, will discuss, among other things, the future of the conference as to how it might change and what we should do about it. So that will be right here in this space as well. So an important part of the conference is the sponsors. Without those sponsors, lots of you would not make it here because they are the major funder, along with the National Science Foundation and the SIG, of the student and other travel geodiversity and other travel grants that we have and that enable students in particular to attend, even if they may not have a paper here and may not have an advisor who is willing to fork over the travel amount. So we are particularly grateful to all of the sponsors. Some of the sponsors will be setting up kind of matchmaking for potential employment opportunity. We'll get an email on that shortly for sign up one. So thank our platinum sponsor, Meta, our gold sponsors, Google, Amazon, and Microsoft, our silver sponsors, Akamai, Cisco, Comcast, VMware, and Intel, and our bronze sponsors, Netflix and HP. Sorry.
So now I'll give some stats about the attendance, who's attending SIGCOMM. The first thing I want to show is a graph that I found very amusing. It was sent to me by the registration chairs. A lot of us have made our careers out of TCP. I certainly have. And the registration timeline looks exactly like the TCP congestion control mechanism. Pre-early registration deadline, you see slow start, which is, I think, the worst name, but exponential increase. After early registration deadline, you have congestion avoidance, which is linear increase. You can find yourself in which part of the curve you belong to, but ultimately, I think we are going to have over 700 attendees in person, which is great. The breakdown of attendees by region, no surprise, US is the bulk of the conference. We have a nice mix of academia, industry, and students, roughly half of students and non-students. We also have the breakdown in terms of student members, professional members, non-members, and I think one thing that the SIG should take a look at is more than half the attendees are not SIG members. So we should encourage them to become SIG members and understand what the benefits of being a SIGCOMM member is. Just some other trivia of what the titles of the people attending are: professor, PhD student, software engineer, so on and so forth. Another interesting thing is the registration breakdown by institution. And what we noticed was, no surprise, the tri-state area dominates. The top 4 highest are Columbia, Princeton, NYU, and Cornell, which is split between New York City and Ithaca. I think hotel prices have a big part, and future conference organizers might think about that. If this conference was in August, we could have had the dorm rooms available to the students for free, nearly free, but unfortunately we couldn't do that. And now we want to thank all the volunteers who have made this possible. We'll start off with Eddie and Dave that have put a spectacular program together, the biggest program ever for SIGCOMM. They'll talk a little bit more about it soon. The poster and demo chairs, Minmay, Jia, Zhui, and Maria. If you are here and we're calling in, please If you can stand up, we'd like to thank you. The workshop chairs, Timothy and Sangeeta. The SRC chairs, Ethan, Todd, Matt, and Ping. Ethan is here. The web chairs, Emmanuel and Lynn. They were extremely prompt in, getting updates from us in the middle of the night and updating the website, so really thankful to them. Dan, I don't know if Dan is here. He was collecting money from the sponsors. He's made sure that Jorg is not too upset about the budget, and we are breaking even. Feng Qian handled travel grants. Again, this year we had a record number of travel grants. So this was, a collective effort between NSF and the SIG and the contribution of the corporate sponsors. So we have 95 travel grant recipients that have, the 326 students that you see, 95 of them got travel grants. So Feng.
So we have a very large number, if last count, of students who are graduate students here who are helping throughout the week. So again, we have a special blue tag on their badge. They help with registrations, AV. They helped with the workshops yesterday, even when we had some kind of glitches on room stuff. They help with all the other stuff that needs to happen when you have hundreds of people on campus. So if you see them, they are there for your help. They are there to make your stay a better one. So we had, all of you probably signed up for this conference because you got emails, Facebook posts, Slack posts, whatever it happens to be, from Aaron and Costas. Made sure that we had a near record turnout here, probably certainly the largest since the pandemic. You wouldn't be here without registration. Setting up a registration, dealing with all the special cases, statistics, all of that, Shenren and Wei have been instrumental in doing that. I don't think they're here, but. And York, somewhere I saw him, made sure that we are hopefully still within the good graces of ACM and that will let the SIG organize another conference. So even though things shifted around date-wise and logistics-wise, minute by minute, he kept track of our numbers here and kept us going. An important part of the conference is its permanent record. And Jia and Tianbei were responsible, and are responsible for making sure that the ACM Digital Library has an accurate representation of all that took place here, all the papers that were presented here. Are they around? Have you seen them? If you're, thank you. And a special thanks to our two local arrangement chairs. It is, even though we are standing up here, none of this would happen. You wouldn't have coffee, you wouldn't have food, you wouldn't have AV unless we've had three persons who deal with much of that logistics. And navigating through the Columbia bureaucracy earns an extra star or two in that. And so I want to particularly thank Jan Janak, who happens to be my student. Is he around? He's probably running around somewhere. Who took care of the tail end of all of the last few months of the local arrangement, and Fred Jiang, who started us out here as well. Again, if you enjoyed the coffee or anything else, say thanks to Jan, because he made it happen. And the program committee.
Thank you. I'm one of the co-PC chairs. I'm Eddie. This is Dave.
And I'm Dave.
That's Vishal and Henning Schulzrenner, who are the general chairs.
Yeah.
Okay, so quickly, we had 323 submissions. There was about 4.1 million words of submission in those submissions. There were 1,222 reviews written by 62 PC members and 3 external reviewers. So thank you to the PC.
See who's all here from the PC? I can see who.
Does the PC want to stand up? Or just wave? Hi, PC! There are about 570,000 words of review that we got written, so that is a large number of words. And the result of all of this work was 71 accepted papers, which is a world record. It's a higher acceptance rate than we had the last couple of years, which is also a record. It's a record in the sense of going up rather than going monotonically down. We got there basically by being positive throughout the process, which is something that I think we both encourage future PCs to do, whether or not y'all rethink what SIGCOMM means or whatever. We'll hear more about that on Wednesday. However, only 20 of the accepted papers do not have a colon in the title. It looks like, Dave, did you want to say something about the
outrageous opinion? Did my
it
line
did not.
make it?
No, and I think the next slide
Is
will,
that,
is the
okay,
sequel.
great. We are having an outrageous opinion session on board the cruise for the banquet tomorrow night. If you'd like to sign up, if you'd like to give a talk, we encourage you to sign up, please, just so we know what's coming. There's also an opportunity to upload slides on that form. The short URL is aka.ms/SIGCOMM'23 opinion, and we'll get that out some way.
Yeah, we'll have that up in between.
We'll have it on Slack.
We'll have it on Slack. We'll have it available in many forms, or you can just talk to us.
Yep.
A little bit about how the sessions are going to go. Once we get into the technical program, we'll have 4 or 5 papers per session. There's going to be 10 minutes of presentation. That presentation may be ruthlessly cut off if you go over. So if you're here to present and you're planning on taking more time than you have been given, prepare to be cut off. At the end of the sessions, assuming there's time, there will be a little mini panel where questions can be asked by the presenters of each other or by you of the presenters as a group. We encourage people to look at the videos that have been made available by many of the authors in advance so you can prepare yourselves for questions. And of course the papers, which all of these final papers, which are the representative of so much work and effort by all of you in the room, are all available. And I do want to thank everyone who submitted to us. It's really a joy to see so much beautiful work coming out of the community. Speaking of that, now we turn to a kind of a pleasure as well as a surprise. This is a surprise for almost everybody in the room, except for I think one person, maybe 2 if we're lucky, and that's the awarding of the best paper of SIGCOMM 2023. So in order to get the best paper, we had a subcommittee of the program committee vote on which papers they liked, and then we took the top vote getter. The best paper means different things at different conferences and to different people. This year, what distinguished the best paper was a sense of excitement and pleasure that it gave the PC members who voted about an old idea in a new context, about some clever hacks that made something surprising work, about thousands of applications running on programmable switches rather than just a small number that were decided in advance. And the winner of Best Paper at SIGCOMM 2023 is Rajdeep Das and Alex Snurin from UC San Diego, Memory Management and Active RMT towards Runtime Programmable Switches. It's Alex, everybody. Right. Here's what you get.
Congratulations.
A
We'll have
plaque will
for
be
you.
coming later. And that's it from us. So thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations, Alex. Again.
So I think it's time for the SIG to announce the SIG Awards. Ellen? Sorry? Yeah, everything's on slides. So.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. It's great to see you in New Amsterdam, right? That connection I don't think has been made yet, but last year it was emphasized. If you were in it last year, you saw that I walked across the stage in a boot. It was on this foot. The boot is gone, so that's good. Let's see. So first, the winner of the SIGCOMM Dissertation Award. It's Kevin Bach from the University of Maryland, and his thesis is Automating the Discovery of Censorship Evasion and Strategies. Kevin, are you in the room? Wonderful. Could you come up here, please? Okay, this guy is my academic several levels down.
It's pretty cool.
Child, grandchild, great-grandchild.
That's awesome.
Yeah, okay. So, a plaque will be coming.
Thank you so
yeah,
much.
you bet.
Thank you guys.
All right. I'm not expecting a familial connection to every award winner. Okay, and the next award, the runner-up for the PhD dissertation award is Siva Kakarla from UCLA for the thesis Formal Methods for a Robust Domain Name System. Siva, are you in the room? Wonderful. Who did? The guy who just got the award? Okay.
Thank you.
The award for the SIGCOMM Test of Time is presented to the authors of B4, Experience with a Globally Deployed Software-Defined WAN, for their SIGCOMM 2014 paper. And maybe let me just say a quick word about the Test of Time Award. So the Test of Time Award goes back roughly 10 years, if I recall, plus and minus 1 year. So there's a 3-year time period, and there's a set of conferences, and all the papers in those conferences in that time window are considered. And I think these Test of Time Awards are a really important way for us to reflect on what work has held on in terms of having impact and longevity and really continuing to matter in the work that we do. And it sets, in some sense, a bar for us to aspire to in the work that we're currently doing, that it may potentially one day be considered for a Test of Time Award. So I'd like to congratulate all of the winners. I don't know how many are here, but I'd invite any of you who are here to come on up onto the stage and have your picture taken. You're representing many. Okay, and is this the last one? Maybe? One more. This is the penultimate. This is the ACM Recognition of Service Award. So one of the things that we've been trying to do, actually over probably much of the history of SIGCOMM, is to increase our geographic inclusion. And this is, it's not an easy thing to try to do for lots of reasons, and we want to call out Kanchana Sat for her efforts in helping to develop the SIGCOMM community in Southeast Asia. I don't know, Kanchana, are you here? No, but I think Conchana will probably be in SIGCOMM next year, and maybe there's another chance for us to recognize her efforts in person, so we can thank her in her absence. All right, of course, finally, the SIGCOMM Lifetime Achievement Award is awarded to Dina Katabi for contributions to the design, control, and innovative uses of both wireless and networked systems. And by tradition, Dina will give a keynote in just a few minutes as soon as we finish up this part of the program. And I'll give an intro of Dina when we get to that point. So congratulations, Dina. Is it still me? Okay. Now we'd like to have a few words from the co-chairs of the SIGCOMM Cares Committee.
Thanks. We're here to talk about the values of our community, and in particular, our values around being inclusive and creating a welcoming environment for all. That includes both at our conferences and in online spaces like Slack. So ACM has a policy on harassment that applies at SIGCOMM, and beyond the fact that SIGCOMM is ACM sponsored, these are also values that we want to uphold as a community. The open exchange of ideas is central to ACM, to SIGCOMM, and to research. And this necessitates an environment in which everyone is treated with respect. There are a number of unacceptable behaviors. They include things like actions directed at an individual that interfere substantially with their participation, degrading or humiliating comments about an individual's appearance, and using activity-related communication channels like Slack to display or distribute sexually explicit images or messages. There's an official form that you can use to report any incidents of any of these types. It's a very simple form. It goes to ACM. You can make the report anonymously, or you can identify yourself. You can decide whether or not you want the incident investigated or whether you just want a record kept of it, perhaps to provide an opportunity for you to decide later on that you might want it investigated. And there are stringent controls over who can access the reports and for what purposes. So of course, reporting or dealing with these incidents can be a very difficult decision. So a variety of SIGs have formed committees called CARES committees. SIGCOMM was one of the early ones in 2018. And the purpose of these committees was originally to assist in the reporting of incidents. This can involve, for example, a conversation about whether you want to report or not, whether behavior falls under the categories that are disallowed or not. And we can help you out in a number of ways. We can provide a listening ear. We can give you advice regarding unacceptable behavior in the community. That can be both at the conference and not at the conference. We can help address community concerns by initiating policy changes to create a more positive and welcoming environment. We can assist SIG members in filing formal complaints regarding unethical behavior to ACM COPE, which is the committee overlooking that. And note that CARES does not itself have the authority to enforce any punitive measures and responses to violations. Only ACM COPE has that power. So this was the original scope of CARES. In 2020, ACM asked the CARES committees to expand beyond incidents of harassment and to also include violations related to the publication process. This can be things like plagiarism, things that come up in the review process. Yeah, and so we want a welcoming, inclusive environment here. We want to make sure that all the questions and discussions are respectful.
So we currently have 4 members. 2 of our founding members, Jen Rexford and Marino Barcelos, have stepped down from the committee, and we really want to thank them for their service. And we are currently actively recruiting new members. And as Ellen was saying, we really want to stress the issue of diversity. We are looking to, get nominations from anywhere in the world, and diversity in any dimension that you can imagine. If you care about these issues and would like to contribute, then we really want to encourage you to nominate yourself and or other people who you think might be relevant for the CARES committee. So thank you.
Yeah, and you can find the nomination information either on the Slack or it should be up on the SIGCOMM Cares page shortly. I think it's not yet. And there's a couple posters around with the QR code or just talk to us. And the top three of us are all here in person. Justine's not here in person, but feel free to either talk to any of us in person, email any of us individually, or we now have a fancy cares@sigcomm.org email address that you can use to reach all of us if you have questions or concerns. Thanks.
Okay, before I introduce Dina, I wanted to share with you something that some of you will already be aware of, but we have been sort of a little bit silent or quiet for no particular reason about it. We are making a transition in the leadership of SIGCOMM, the SIG. So 4 weeks ago today, I started a job at the National Science Foundation. This is the major funder of computer science research in the United States, and I have taken the position of Division Director for Computer and Network Systems, affectionately known as CNS. And in that, because I'm going into that role, I felt that I should step down as the chair of SIGCOMM, in part because both of them are some work, but also I don't think any one person should kind of have too many positions of responsibility or influence in the community. So by SIGCOMM bylaws, the vice chair of the SIG becomes the chair, and that is Matt Caesar. Stand up, Matt. And so thank you to Matt for taking on the role of chair. We started at the same time. It was a 2-year term. The way SIGs work, they ask you as you're approaching some point near the end of the 2 years, actually it's like 8 months before the end of the 2 years, if you would like to continue. And so the elected Matt and I and Gia all agreed that we would continue. So Matt will carry out the remainder of the second 2-year time period, so to tell you how that's all working. The other thing I want to say is we initiated and we are taking the next step in the process of leading a discussion and also hopefully forward action about making some changes to SIGCOMM and to SIGCOMM conferences. And so you heard that alluded to. If you look on the SIGCOMM Slack, there's a website where you can go to upvote proposals for changes that you would be most interested in hearing more about at the community meeting. You can also find there a website where you can submit your own idea about a change that you would like to see in the SIGCOMM conferences. So let me just encourage you to use the website for upvoting because that will help dictate how we spend the time in the community meeting. All right, Matt, is there anything else I should say?
So, there's a young and upcoming researcher who wanted to say a few words. Scott?
We all know Ellen's research accomplishments and her devotion to doing computer science for good. What you may be less aware of is her history of leadership in our community. The list is way too long for me to go through all of it, but it includes chair of SIGCOMM, as you know, chair of the CRA, serving on the SIDES Advisory Committee, and now going back to NSF. Anybody who has served in this kind of position knows how demanding they are. But the benefits are huge, from securing funding to changing public policy to raising issues that the community has too long ignored. So these are crucially important. But most of us are totally unaware of the work that's going on our behalf. In short, these jobs are the very definition of a thankless job. So what I would like us to do today is rectify that by thanking Ellen with a long and loud and standing round of applause for her service to the community.
you managed a complete surprise. I had no idea. Thank you, all of you, and thank you, Scott, for the very kind words. I appreciate it. I look forward to interacting with all of you in my role at NSF as well, so I'm not really going anywhere. Okay, Dina. I'm delighted to introduce Dina Katabi, and as we noted, to award her the ACM SIGCOMM Lifetime Achievement Award. I think I first became aware of Dina when she was a PhD student and on the job market, and I believe she interviewed at Georgia Tech. She'll have to let me know if that was true, or perhaps we invited her to, and then she decided that she had other options that were going to be appealing. But I remember at that time that someone in the community, I won't tell you who it is, sort of took me aside and kind of like in a whisper said, you know, Dina's really a genius. And it was sort of a quiet comment. I think we all now, if you know anything about Dina, you know that she really is a genius and just does an amazingly creative and deep work. She's been recognized by many awards. I won't run down the list, but one of them does include the MacArthur Genius Award, MacArthur Fellowship. So without further ado, Dina, I'm delighted to have you here and really excited to hear what you have to say.